Ladies and gentlemen, people of the world, happy Friday. It's Friday. And if you don't know what that means on this channel, if you're watching this on YouTube, which most of you are, it's podcast time. It is not one of the brain-rotted edits that, though brain rot is for Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. All right? Friday is for podcasting. The notorious Bryan Kohberger receives a life sentence for the murders he performed in Idaho in 2022. Now, something I've learned is there's a little community of what are called pro-burgers. All right? That's my understanding of it. Pro-burgers. And these aren't your bros. These aren't your pre-diabetics. These are people that believe Bryan Kohberger is innocent to some degree. And they're kind of point fighting on the... And if you're not familiar with the phrase point fighting, you know, I take that from fighting when you're not trying to win and you're just trying to win on points. You know, it's like a bit of a technical way to win. And so it's my understanding that the pro-burgers believe that the amount of evidence does not substantiate Bryan being the main culprit. There was an interesting bit here where Xana's mother was arrested for drug trafficking some days before, so people think, you know, and then they start getting conspiratorial. They think that Bryan was hired by the cartel to put out this hit, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I don't know if the cartel is sourcing a guy locally. I don't know if the cartel goes into a city and they're like, we got to get some people knocked off. I would prefer a local hire. Like it's like a concert or something. Yeah, I don't know if we want to pay the flight fee for one of our guys to go in and do it. I prefer to hire locally. It's easier on the taxes as well. I don't know if the cartel's too worried about that. So I won't point fight conspiracy. Rest in peace to these children. Bryan, as of the time of this recording, was charged this morning. And if I could quote, you know, if I could use some TikTok language here, one of the victim's sisters got up there and read him to filth. That's how the girls would say it. They read him to filth. I'm going to play this reading.
How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper?
What a sentence. What a sentence. Let me read it. This reads, if you put this against white text and you started tweeting this shit out, how does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer?
Only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer?
Yeah. Is trying to be a rapper. I don't know how people dug this up at the time. I had to go validate this, and there were some re-uploads on SoundCloud of allegedly what is his music. And unfortunately for it, if you are a older millennial and you understand the world of underground music, there's this weird pocket of time where suburban dudes got really inspired by backpack rap and boom bap hip hop. They drew a lot of inspiration from Wu-Tang and, you know, the sort of like the core of hip hop. They got really inspired and they all started putting out music on SoundCloud. The problem is a lot of them were bad rappers and a lot of their writing was just talking about killing people, which doesn't, you know, if you're a white guy in the burbs and you never killed anybody, that's not good music. And so this guy ended up fulfilling what everyone said about these people. He ended up doing what everyone thought these rappers really had buried in them. He ended up validating that fear. So if you're a later millennial listening to this and you got like a lurking SoundCloud with some I'm a kill you music, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and delete that and try to make it that you take that to the grave because it's not fun anymore. All right. I want to read this statement, and I don't want to take any power away from what she's saying, but I want to let it run its course, okay?
Is trying to be a rapper. I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer. Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep.
Now, this is a weird tangent to take, but just follow me here. Some of this language that she is using to describe this guy, I think that is what my wife wants to say to me when I leave things out in our living space. I think when I leave socks and oatmeal bowls and cups of coffee, I think my wife wants to talk to me this way. You know, let me tell you what you are. A weak, dirty, filthy, pathetic loser. I think that's what she wants to say. The mother of one of the victims got up and said some really powerful stuff. You know, I don't want to skew the mood. There I go, blurring words again. I don't want to take the mood too dark. But, you know, God bless this girl for getting up in the courtroom and just giving it to him. And you know what's really great about all this? So I read the comments on her statement, and or the comments on her statement, and a lot of people were saying, you know, man, she's brave, not a single tear. And I thought that was an interesting read of the situation, because for me, if someone attacked my friends and family, I think I'd be itching to get up and read a statement. I think I'd be itching to get up there. I don't know the rules. I don't know if there's limitations on what you can say, or if they tell, you know, if they kind of edit down what you're saying, which I think would be bullshit. I don't think you should have what you want to tell the person who attacked your family edited down. I think that'd be lame, to say the least. I don't think that's how it goes. And I was actually talking about it with Alina, my wife, that I've been making jokes about all episode. And she was like, I'd be terrified to go up there because he's a serial killer. And I was telling her, I think that'd be your only chance to get a word in, even if the guy's a sociopath and it doesn't mean anything to him. At least it's for you, right? But this is all teeing up to. I read a comment, and look at this. You never fail to find a fucking. You know, I'm a moron, but you never fail to find a real moron in a situation like this. This guy goes, he committed the worst crimes imaginable, but this language is wild in a courtroom. Dude, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This guy killed people's daughters and sisters, and you're telling him to have decorum? Fuck you, man. Biggest fuck you to this guy. Horrendous. Obviously, I'm trying to be funny here, but rest in peace to these people, and good riddance to this guy. And also, you know what I love about these fucking idiots that want to put together a conspiracy about this guy being hired by the cartel? He's a guy that, in that situation, he's a guy that's hired by, who agreed to do a hit on behalf of the cartel. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a shit then? Lock him up. It wasn't his fault. He was pressured. What are you saying? What the fuck are you saying? Anyways. God, we are fucking dumb, aren't we? We are fucking idiots. I don't think enough of his evidence was there was some of it in there. I don't know. I've received nasty comments about this guy before, telling me I don't know the whole truth and nothing but the truth, but he confessed to doing it, and that's all we got. So if that gives four families who lost their daughters any bit of closure, even if the mom was trafficking drugs, her daughter doesn't deserve to die. Kill the mom. Okay, all right. That was crazy. You ever been the center of a controversy? Courtesy of Coldplay. You ever been the center? Everyone's been talking about the CEO who got caught up with his head of HR. The lore around this is so expansive. They're creating a Marvel universe out of this situation. What's annoying is this is going to work its way into a TV plot. I know Netflix is working on a documentary right now, Life After Coldplay. Sorry. The video is obviously very embarrassing. I'm not going to sit here and try to give some bit of commentary that you haven't heard already. I'm sure you've heard every opinion and every joke. Everyone's been very funny about this. I think it's worth bringing up Coldplay's response. Starting with our next show, we're introducing camera-free audience sections for people and their side pieces. Guys, and let me interrupt my joking monologue here to say that you can always get this stuff ad-free at tmgstudios.tv/companylot. Hey everyone, I want to take a second to thank one of our sponsors of today's episode, DraftKings. Join the fun on DraftKings Casino, ranked the #1 online casino experience. They've got everything you've been searching for. Thousands of exciting games, huge jackpots, exclusive offers, and more. New players get a 10-day welcome offer. 500 spins on Huff and More Puff when you play just $5 to start. Jumping in has never been easier. To start, create an account online or download the app, then find the sport and outcome you want to bet on, and finally place your bets. Follow the games, and even bet live as the action unfolds. New and existing players alike love DraftKings Casino for its convenient and creative online gaming experience. With a wide variety of real money casino games and free-to-play demos, DraftKings is the perfect place to build new skills, play your favorite games, and take a shot at big wins. Download the DraftKings Casino app, sign up with Code Company, and spin your favorite slots. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Non-withdrawable casino spins issued as 50 spins per day for 10 days, valid for featured game only, and expire each day after 24 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. Ends 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. #1 based on Eilers and Krejcik 2H24 product analysis. I want to take a final break to thank sponsor of today's episode, Shopify. The origins of this podcast were once just a dream. That dream turned into the podcast and business you are listening to today. Starting your own business is a dream lots of us share, but too many of us let it remain just a dream. Don't hold yourself back thinking, what if I don't have those skills? What if I can't do it alone? Turn those what ifs into why nots with Shopify by your side. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. What if I can't design a website? Well, Shopify's got you from the get-go with beautiful, ready-to-go templates to match your brand style. It's easy to use for everyone. What if I need a hand? Get help with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. What if people haven't heard about my brand? Shopify can help you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And of course, what if you get stuck? Well, Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. You can turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/companylot. Go to shopify.com/companylot. Shopify.com/companylot. Now, why is this interesting for this show? I think it's interesting because it highlights the sort of natural surveillance way that we live. I'll try not to make this boring, but we live in a way that there is an assumption you are being surveilled. And I've heard different opinions about this. I've heard people say it's fucked up that anyone would post that. Because I think the girl who posted it said something like other people were going to post it anyway, so I just did it. Which I know that philosophy by itself, is a symptom of everything else, and it's a fucked up thing to read because that's how people think. I got this valuable piece of footage, and someone's gonna get 500,000 likes, and if anyone's doing it, it's me. Okay, that is the world we live in. People exchange things for attention. They exchange bits of life for attention, and if it benefits your account, so be it. What I think is interesting to look at is there are enough people that go, you should not feel entitled to not being filmed, right? Generally, him doing infidelity is one thing that already clears any argument. Like, hey, buddy, you wouldn't have to worry about being filmed if you weren't doing that in the first place. And also, I like how this guy tried to be like, I don't appreciate us being turned into a laughing stock. I mean, the memes is where he drew the line. Hey, stop being funny about it. All right, buddy. But I think it's a interesting argument that people are having, where it's like, you shouldn't post this, and well, you shouldn't feel entitled to not being filmed. And I just think it's interesting that Coldplay, if real, do they end up setting some precedent? These are camera-free zones. And then now there's going to be a social thing here where now you're going to be a weird motherfucker if you're going, well, I bought tickets in the camera-free zone. Oh, really? Why? Also, the amount of parody ads I've seen of this situation have been nothing short of hilarious. I'm going to try to find it. I bookmarked it on TikTok. It was a local ad. It was for a grocery store. They AI'd that because a lot of people did. They did an AI rendition of the whole, the CEO and the chick going, oh my God. They did an AI rendition of that to promote their grocery store, more specifically the eggs they sell at their grocery store. It's hysterical. What is this now? Also, you got to love when something, catches fire like this, for you to become a corporate punchline, for people to, lean into this to get clicks and to be out of pocket. Hilarious. So I really want to know how this feels for the people that worked for him. Because I believe I read some stuff where people said this guy's generally a piece of shit. So I wonder if this, moment for them is just a huge, corporate boner, where the shittiest manager, gets the biggest comeuppance of all time, and you're just sitting at your desk going, oh my God. Yes. Yes, fuck this guy. So, congratulations to all the people that have worked with him that maybe have known this behavior about him and it finally got out there in the worst way, and you're just like, fucking thank God. Shout out to you. Speaking of personalized ads and things that make me a little bit fired up, let's get into this big fat story. You're going to love this. You don't even have to travel to be excitedly angry about this one. Senators demand answers about Delta's new AI-driven pricing plan. Now, in the past, we've talked about airlines doing that nasty little thing where they were just spotting people out in line, looking at you if you had a big bag and making you pay the check bag fee because they were giving kickbacks to the employees and they were turning it into a commission thing. You know, basically all the airlines created their own stop and frisk in a way. Ladies and gentlemen, Delta is planning to use AI to set prices individually tailored to each customer. So, if you have been a little bit of a brat, or, as the Aussies would say, we can't say it here. We're not allowed to say it up here. They can say it down there. But if you've ever been a bit of a bunt cake on a flight, you're about to pay a tax for it. If you're a problem passenger, they're going to make you pay. So you know what's going to be really funny is watch the no-fly list get converted to a premium ticketing list. Watch all those people get granted back immediately to flights and say, hey, you can come back if you're willing to pay triple. And if you're a good boy, you can work it down. And alternatively, watch this pilot well, no pun intended. Watch this program pilot well, and then watch it start getting used by maybe the city bus. Hey, are you a bit of a piece of shit on the bus? You don't get to ride it for $5 anymore. You got to ride it for 10. You got to ride it for 15. Terrible choice of words, but we might not have social credit issued by the government, guys, but we will have privatized social credit, which is even better. It's even better when a corporation can have its own data on you and decide what you get to pay. That's what I like about late stage capitalism is when I get to be a good boy for a corporation to decide that I get to pay good boy prices. I'm an upstanding consumer. I get to pay market rate for everything. I get to get movie tickets for the correct price. You, a snooty little, dirty little non-contributor to society, have to pay the dirty tax. Delta Airlines wants to use AI to set your ticket price, and it isn't flying with some senators. Beautiful writing here at Business Insider. Senator Ruben Gallego, I'm going to put a little sauce on that one, of Arizona sent a letter. Because you know what that does. Hey, you can trust senators, right? This is absolutely an abomination. And they just go vote for whatever the fuck they were talking about. Vote in favor of. Senator Rubin of Arizona, I'm just going to call them by their first names. I don't want to dignify them with their last name every time. He sent a letter to the airline on Monday asking for the company to clarify what data it's using to determine prices and the scope of its planned AI rollout. Now, if I could call back to the only book I've ever read, Surveillance Capitalism, where it talks about how we're in the Gilded Age, okay, the robber baron age of technologies, and more extensively with AI. So earlier this year, we kind of took a look at the Google lawsuit, how it's a monopoly on search, and they're finally breaking it up. Well, who gives a shit? Because if you've looked at Google search lately, it's pretty much all ads. It's the AI overview up top, and then a lot of the top results are paid ranks. They've already abandoned that product. They don't even give a fuck about it anymore. Your Chromebook is irrelevant. It's going to turn into your AI book. That's what it's going to be. Operating system upgrade. Now it's your, AI best friend, and it's not even a search engine anymore. AI cannot legally be challenged under this administration. A lot of these companies are being protected because now they're they, meaning the establishment, is running cover for these tech companies. So they will not be challenged at all in this capacity. And so this posturing of, hey, what are you doing? Unfortunately, is a point for the nothing ever happens guy. And it's grim and it fucking is brutal. It's a sick, nasty little situation we're in. We're not going to be able to stop this shit, right? And I think AI was always going to get there. But this is the nasty part of AI, because it's not like, for every one person who uses AI like a cool tool, I've seen some wonderful AI artists. I know people would disagree, but specifically in the realm of video, I've seen guys create some really interesting one-of-one things with AI video. I can draft a list. I can drop it in the comments, but there's some really creative shit that I've seen with AI. And for every one of those is a board of executives that are going to do something disgusting. So, quote, Delta's current and planned individualized pricing practices not only present data privacy concerns, but will also likely mean fair price increases up to each individual consumer's personal pain point at a time when American families are already struggling with rising costs, reads the letter, which was also signed by Senator Mark Warner of Virginia and Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. So Richie, Mark, and Ruben are the three musketeers in this. The letter comes after Delta President Glenn Haustein told investors earlier this month that the company aimed to expand AI pricing to 20% of its network by the end of the year. He said the technology is currently used on about 3% of its domestic network. Delta first announced the AI pricing during an investor event in November, calling it a full re-engineering of how we price and how we will be pricing in the future. We're in a heavy testing phase. We like what we see. Of course, he likes what he sees. We like it a lot, and we're continuing to roll it out. Hey guys, want to shout out another sponsor of today's episode, Factor. It's summertime, and you know what that means. Warmer weather, sunny days, and more time to enjoy being outdoors. I want to enjoy my summer, not spend hours inside cooking and stressing about my next meal. Luckily, that's why there's Factor. Factor's chef-crafted and dietitian-approved meals are ready in just a couple of minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. There are so many options too. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer gains and goals. Choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. Enjoy more this summer. Get Factor if you want all the flavor and none of the fuss. Guys, I'm back on the iron, all right? I'm lifting. I'm getting into calisthenics. I'm doing my planche push-ups, and Factor meals are great for getting a meal in because I'm a busy boy, and I really can't be at the stove that often. So Factor meals are great to squeeze in to, still hit my caloric intake. Get started at factormeals.com/lot50off and use code LOT50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code LOT50off at factormeals.com/lot50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/lot50off. Guys, I want to take another quick break to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Cash App. Cash App is a mobile payment application that allows users to send and receive money, making purchases, invest in stocks, and Bitcoin, and even file your taxes. On top of the tons of services they offer, you can even get your own Cash App card with a custom design. If I were designing my own card, I'd probably go with a Magic the Gathering themed card. Cash App is built for the way you and your friends move and save money. Splitting pizza with your friends or paying someone back for movie tickets? No need to wait forever to get paid back when it can be done in a tap. Work hourly and get direct deposit, set it up on Cash App, and get your money up to 2 days early. Plus, Cash App is super safe. When you bank through Cash App, you gain access to instant alerts, the power to lock your card in a tap, and extra safeguards so strangers can't find your account. No hidden fees, no surprises, just simple money moves that fit your life. Take control of your money today with Cash App. If you're between 13 and 17, you can still sign up. Just ask your parent or guardian for help to open up a Cash App sponsored account. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn additional cash for real. If you're over 18, just download Cash App, and after you sign up, use our exclusive referral code CompanyLot in your profile, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account when you send $5 or more to a friend within your first 14 days. Or if you're 13 to 17 years old, request a sponsored account from a parent or guardian, and once you sign up, use our exclusive referral code CompanyLot in your profile to get $10 dropped right into your account when you order and activate your free Cash App card and send $5 or more to a friend within your first 14 days. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit, roundups, overdraft coverage, and discounts provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. So here's the thing. If you don't fly a lot, or if maybe you know this but you've forgotten about it, allow me to remind you that a lot of commercial flights, I believe, are made profitable from business class. So the economy class altogether usually does not cover the cost of the flight. It's the business class that's tipping the flight into profitable, because that's where they're jacking up the rates and they're making away like bandits. So I think this AI pricing is how they're going to squeeze the regular person. They're going to just get it within an inch of what is going to fucking crush you financially. That's what they're going to try to figure out with you. And, again, tinfoil fitted hat on. Again, I was called a conspiracy theorist for using really nuanced information about yourself to maybe manage or dig into you a little bit deeper. I was saying politically. I was saying all the things that we've ever said into a phone, near a phone, theoretically, if you've made videos of feelings you've had about anything, a product, whatever, I don't think it's far-fetched to think that content, your voice, whatever you have said, is processed into raw text. And they could just be churning massive amounts of lists and profiles on people that have said certain things, whether it's about products, politics, whatever, a fucking restaurant. And this kind of, to me, falls in that category where there are laws on data privacy, but we don't know the nuance of what these tech companies share. And the problem is, a lot of it is owned. They're calling them, what a fucking name, by the way, the Magnificent Seven. That's what they're calling Meta, Google, far from magnificent if you're asking me. Metastasized Seven. How about that, huh? Because they're a cancer. All these guys have just bought up whatever company. If a company pops up and it's like, we created this thing, and all it did was collect a bunch of data on you, and then, that company got bought. And now Google or whoever owns it. And so many companies are backed and partnered, and blah, blah, blah. The web is great. Like, the web of it is crazy. So the amount of raw data they have access to is probably more than they can sift through. And they're just coming up with more and more ways to analyze people's lives. Something I think about, like, with Face ID. Apple is more than likely documenting what the fuck you look like when you're angry, when you're sad, all that kind of stuff. And you bet your ass behind the scenes that they will create some weird way to use that. You look pissed. Maybe they're modifying how certain algorithms look in your phone. They're modifying what ads you're getting on fucking Apple News. Right? I believe there was like a patent for watching an ad on television. And people have forever theorized that there's going to come a moment where your TV knows if you're watching the ad, and it's going to fucking punish you if you're not actually looking at the screen. It's going to pause the ad and make you look at it. So anyway, call that conspiratorial, call that unsubstantiated, fair. What I think is substantiated, obviously, is these guys are going to use AI to crunch data. What data that is, can be a lot. It can be a lot because so much of what we have done online is so readily available. Delta, specifically, they make you, when you're on a Delta flight, you may know this, they make you log in to an account, all right? They make you log into your Delta Frequent Flyer Miles account, and then they make you watch an ad. And there's a, of all the conspiracies I have in my head, this is one I believe firmly. I believe they make you log in like that so that you're probably agreeing to some end user agreement. And more than likely, they are scraping whatever you're doing in your browser. I think the majority of people are in their browser just looking things up, emails, whatever. I bet they are scraping whatever you're doing to whatever extent they can. And that's probably factored into some of the data that they're using here, and that could be anything, right? If you're doing online shopping, if you're reading, they're probably taking data and maybe creating a profile on who you are, what you're likely to be, because that is something that has long, if you've ever worked an inbound sales job, you know that this has long been a psychology of inbound sales. They characterize people. I remember when I worked inbound sales at a bank, it was really cute how they tried to do that. They took massive amounts of phone calls that they very clearly studied and and they gave us these 4 categories of person. Can you believe that? They had thousands of people calling in every day, and they were able to sift through all that and boil it down to 4 personality types. And they try to come up with these cute things like, oh, this type of customer is what we call the thinker. And they're trying to dehumanize people who don't want to sign up for a credit card or open a checking account or take out a loan. It's the same shit they do in the military. They're trying to give them this sanitized name. Oh, he's just a thinker. And this is how you overcome a thinker, And then they had more condescending names. I forget the other one for someone who's sort of willing and positive. That's how they'd put it. It wouldn't surprise me if they called them Labrador or, golden poodle, some bullshit like that. They would talk about those people in a real condescending way. These people are eager to sign up. Easy to take advantage of. Easy conversation starters. It's funny how many laws we would skirt when we did that too, because when we opened checking accounts, because it was a bank, when we opened checking accounts for these people, in order to get sales credit for it, they had to put a certain amount of money in there. And we were skirting the law for a long time because we would use suggestive language. We'd go, yeah, if you probably just want to put enough in there to buy some groceries or something, because we had to get them to put at least $40 in there. And there were a bunch of really funny instances where, and by the way, if you think we had ethics about doing this shit, we were fucking young people trying to get our, $500 bonus. We had no ethics about this shit. You would see someone with a savings account that had $42, and we'd be like, do you want to open a checking account? It's free. That was always our pitch. It's free. And it was free. That part was true. I think the sick part of these checking accounts was you're just trying to get people to spend money. And that was because a lot of the clients we had were old people. It was a lot of old people with retirements and boatloads of cash. And we were trying to get them to use us like a primary bank, which would, staircase into a loan and other things. It's a nasty little game that you're wrapped up in. But there were so many hilarious instances of, you'd be sitting there, and you'd see someone next to you trying to increase shareholder value to make it a modern story. Mind you, this is way, way back. This is almost 10 years ago. Maybe actually more. Yeah, it's more than 10 years ago. You have a guy next to you who's fucking, trying to overcome the thinker, trying to use suggestive language to be like, yeah, well, this checking account, it'd be good to spend your money. Which, looking back, maybe we were doing a service because a lot of these guys were boomers. A lot of these people calling in were boomers. And maybe we were doing the solidarity thing by getting them to spend their fucking money and to actually give it to people and stop being pieces of shit and just making everybody else suffer. It's all for me. It's all for me. You see your buddies slaving away over there, on the phone. And then you'd have a guy go, why don't we put $30 in there? There were stories of, dude, we would send screenshots. There would be some guys that would put $39 in. It's hitting me now what a window this was into boomer psychology. You would literally look at a savings account that have like $500,000 in there, and then we convince them to open a checking account, and they go, put $20 in there. Man. I had an old lady call in once, and she liked my voice, and she goes, she's all horny and alone. She's like, "Where are you located?" And I go, "Los Angeles." She's like, "I bet you are. You sound like you could be a model out there." And I go, "Yeah, nah, I'm not. I'm just working here." She's like, "You sound like you could be an underwear model." Then she told me, she was like, because she lived in Florida. Then she goes, I do a lot of gardening. And I go, "That's cool." And she says, "Yeah, I'm getting featured in a segment on HGTV." And she told me exactly when it came out, and she wanted me to go watch her segment. And if I was an enterprising man, I would have followed through virtually. I would have been her telephone boyfriend in LA, and I would have worked my way into that will. But I was extremely uncomfortable, and I got off the call as fast as I could. I was like, "All right, well, anything else, miss? Goodbye." Goodbye. What a time, dude. Hey, everyone. We want to take another quick break to thank a sponsor of today's episode, MeUndies. We all know summer is amazing. Sunshine, road trips, beach days. But can we be honest for a second? It also means one thing: sweat. Sweaty swamp. And if you're not wearing the right underwear, the sweat gets real uncomfortable. That's why I swear by MeUndies. Their micromodal fabric is legit magic. Super soft, breathable, and somehow stays cool even when it's 90 degrees and your AC is losing the battle. They've got everything: briefs, boxers, cheeky cuts, bralettes, you name it. Plus, their summer prints are ridiculously fun. Think tropical vibes, popsicles. Picture that, a popsicle on your popsicle. Even pool floaties. Your underwear drawer deserves a vacation too. MeUndies has a cut for every butt with over 20 different styles in 100 different colors and prints. MeUndies' super signature, super soft micromodal fabric is breathable, stretchy, and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all-day wear. If you need something more breathable and summer-proof, check out the Breathe line, which has moisture-wicking and anti-odor technology, perfect for working out or just keeping you extra cool on those sweltering days. They use sustainably sourced materials and work with partners that care for their workers. Not happy with your first pair of undies? It's on MeUndies. With over 30 million pairs sold and 90,000 five-star reviews, MeUndies is an essential summer must-have for every drawer. I have used and worked with MeUndies for many, many years now. They're great. They feel awesome. They're fun to wear. And right now, as a listener of this show, you can get a sizzling summer deal with up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/lot and enter the promo code LOT. That's MeUndies.com/lot, promo code LOT for up to 50% off MeUndies. Comfort that's made for summer. I won't name the company, but the opening line, we would greet people. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling the bank. This is Noel speaking. How can I help you save your money? That's what I had to say hundreds of times a day. By the way, it was also really interesting because you had stats. We were like little hamsters, and We had stats as inbound salespeople. And depending on your stats, it would impact the weight of your sales. It's so funny looking back at all this, what like human experiments we were. Because unlike a typical sales job, where I've worked a lot of sales jobs, okay? When I say there's a part of my brain that was ripe for the military, because I grew up I would say I grew up extremely ignorant. Okay, I was not educated on a lot of things. I spent a lot of time in silence, no one looking out for me, and that was just a housing crisis, all right? I was a latchkey kid, but both your parents are gone till fucking 10 p.m. and you have unmitigated internet usage, and I'm a stupid kid and I'm not using it for anything smart. So there was a lot that I had to learn as an adult. I digress. I've worked other sales gigs where it's just a standard, sell this many things. Cool. You can do that. Call centers are interesting because they track you. At the time that I was working, they tracked the amount of time you spent per call. They would average out your sales per call, and that was opening up a checking account. And there are a couple other metrics, but the average talk time, ATT, that's what they call it. They make it sound really special. Your ATT. Average talk time had an impact, and basically they were trying to incentivize you to make calls shorter, take more calls, because that would increase the weight of a sale. I took this too literally, okay? And remember, guys, all right, I'm definitely undiagnosed in some capacities, all right? You give a special interest guy like me a metric like that, I was going to perform. And I remember I would be fucking top of the ladder, all right, because just my gamer brain would go in. I was top of the ladder consistently because I think I had an average talk time of 1 minute and 30 seconds, which was, in context of the company, breakneck pace. Most people that do an average talk time 5 to 7 minutes, they did not want to take that many calls an hour. And I would spectrumly just railroad a conversation. And I would have a high actions per minute on a keyboard because I was just trying to get the call annihilated. I was just trying to get it done. And I was just basically playing the deathmatch version of sales calls all day, 5 days a week. It was fucking horrendous. Okay? You average that out, I'm doing almost 500 conversations a day. Fast ones, but I was fucking lasering through them. And if I got a sale that day, I was getting calls down even faster. I would get some calls into the 50-second mark. I mean, it was like, I don't say this to gloat. I say this like with embarrassment. It is absurd how serious I took that job. And you could see at that point in my life how little I had in the way of goals. I did not have any personal value that I took an inbound sales job this seriously because it was all I fucking had as a person. I was in crippling debt. My vision of myself was burnout, I had no vision of my future. I was riding life by my fucking coattails, dude. I was like sitting there going, I'm going to be the best sales associate. Ridiculous. I was pretty much like a wind-up toy. They could give me instruction, crank the gears in my back 7 times, and I would just go knock out these calls with impunity. And then I got laid off. And they just fucking got rid of me. And I love bringing this up. I've brought it up a few times, but it is such a insane moment. After we got laid off, it was really cute. They gave this guy a karaoke setup. They put it's exactly what you see at a shitty dive bar if you live in a small town. It was a single speaker with a wired microphone. Sounded cheap as shit. And for a guy that had to lay off, it was a decent sized office, but they did it in groups, For a guy that had to lay off a couple hundred people in a room, I mean, this was like a VP of something. He was big at this bank. He was a fucking weenie. Total bitch. I mean, his voice is trembling. He's reading out the shitty email that they sent, as of today, where such a fucking weenie about it. You're going to lay a bunch of people off. Fucking have some balls, dude. Look me in the eyes. You're about to ruin my life. Say it with fucking, I don't know. If you want to be the capitalist Terminator, act like one. He says it with such bitch energy. And afterward, I went into the bathroom to take a piss. First of all, he scuttled out of there. He gave his speech and he ran out of that room. And then all our managers kind of took over to give us a more heartfelt version. And, our super senior manager was really twisted up about this. Her heart was like broken. She was looking at all of us, like really thinking about us as people. She was an actual human being. God bless her. Because there were a lot of, at the time of my life, it was me and everyone like a lot of us working there. That's what we had. That we were trying to make our resume there, and this was it was a decent company to work for. So, in context of all of our lives, it was a really fucked thing. It just uprooted a lot of our stability. So many people that worked there had families and stuff. It was crazy. But he scuttles out of there, and we get the news, and I'm kind of just like numb to it. And I go to take a piss in the middle of my manager's speech because I'm like, I ate lunch, my bad. And as I'm going into the bathroom, the CEO who fired us all was walking out, and I will never forget. It's like he saw a ghost, and I try to hit him with we have this eye-to-eye moment, and he looks up from the door handle, and I look him in the eyes, and I go, "Hey, how's it going?" The fear in his eyes that he had to talk to me after what he just did. I mean, dude, his eyelids must have peeled back 3 extra centimeters. I mean, it was just... I pulled the life out of him, and he damn near shoulder checked me. He just opened that door wider and walked right past me. Didn't even fucking want to have any part of it. And I remember sort of spectrumly going back to my friends going, "Man, just look at that fucking guy. He wouldn't even look at me. What the hell?" My friends are like, "Well, yeah. Why would he look at you?" And I'm like, "You're right. I don't know." It was but all that to say, the needling of us, it's going to start with, airlines, it's one thing. Wait till they start ripping the prices off of groceries. And you got to be a good boy to get the good pricing. Be a good boy if you want to get these Beyonce tickets for a good price. Huh? Wait till companies start rolling out the good boy pricing programs. When you start signing up for apps, good news, we have data that you're a good boy. You get to have regular prices. Who's a good boy? You're sitting there wagging your ass on your couch. Me, I'm a good boy. I want to pay the regular prices at Shein. Yeah, me. They're going to make you wag your ass when you get a loan now for a car. They're going to make you do a backflip in there. Just start doing tricks. Wait till they start giving influencers good boy pricing. Everyone, that's it. That's what it's going to be. Everyone's going to become an influencer by way of being a good boy, and then you get to have the good pricing. I'm just, repeating myself in different ways, but that's just kind of what I'm ruminating on. It's going to spread to everything. That's my prediction. Hotel pricing, box seats, everything. You're going to hear about it across everything, how all your friends got a good price because they are in good standing with the corporation. They're basically going to do what MGM and all them do, but for your groceries and your video games. All that to say, guys, we can combat this by going Amish. Which weirdly, I don't know. I could see it happening. I could see a bunch of, early millennials, late Gen Z going, fuck this. And we just go to communes, man. And then someone's going to be like, let's do it naked. And then it's going to make it weird. And we're going to have to kill that guy. But I think, I could see it. I could see some of us banding together doing the commune thing. I could see it. Commune thing. That's a nice play on words. Right? It's a commune thing. That's all it is. No, we're just... Oh, the hammers and sickles. It's just for a crop. It's just a commune thing, man. That's all it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Company a lot. I had fun. I had a good time. I hope you did too. Remember, if you're here at the end, you're my best friend. You're here for the genuine stuff. This is where I cry and weep and shit and throw up and all that. Also, you can always get this on your RSS feed if you are so inclined. If you prefer it audio, you can always do that. It's available to you. You can leave a review as well if you're having fun listening to the show. Thanks to you guys. The show is it's supporting a lot of what I have planned for the channel. So I like to get sappy here. So thank you guys always for listening. It's helping me be creative, and I'm looking to be maximum creative. I'm very excited. I'm taking on a very challenging schedule for August and September. I'm stoked. We're working hard, and I think we're planning to do 3 videos a week, and then these will be on Fridays. But I'm really fired up for that, so stay tuned for that. That will be starting in August, actually. I take it back. That's starting in August, and I'm going to try to keep it up for the rest of the year. It's not all going to be commentary stuff. We're throwing some real creative shit in the mix, which I'm stoked about as well. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Love you all. Come see me in Arizona. I'm starting tour back up at the end of August. Yeah, talk to you soon.